Hello, and welcome to VSU Today, your source for news and information at Virginia State University. I'm your host, Daphne Maxwell Reid. In our first segment, Virginia State University students get into gear with a Formula One race car. Now, not only did they design and manufacture the car in our School of Engineering, Science, and Technology, but they also got a chance to test it on the track.
Automotive technology is a constantly changing field. And one that requires more than just classroom learning.
Same, so you got to put it right.
Yep, so why say the same?
A group of students at Virginia State University are learning more about automotive engineering.
Yeah, we'll go back to the start. So we're going to use G41. So do the same calculation.
And getting up to speed, literally.
That's what we divided the forces out.
The students are participating in a national program sponsored by the Society of Automotive Engineers.
If that works, we'll actually make the real thing out of aluminum.
So like you asked earlier, what the number N was?
Yeah.
Their mission is to create a Formula One race car, a painstaking process that takes them all the way from design to manufacture.
This bar to the bolt, the center of the bolt.
One of our problems for the other car was that we couldn't find enough space for a differential mount. We are designing this car from scratch.
All right, so we got to get some measurements. We got to get this motor positioned correctly with the frame so that we can take measurements on how we're going to actually mount it.
A lot of the parts that we make are something that we have designed and made ourselves. So we take the materials, the raw materials, and we change them into the parts that we need for this car. So it's completely made from scratch.
I put the conversions in here for you so you don't got to...
Yeah, I mean, SolidWorks does that for me too.
You don't have no space, we just want you to be comfortable.
Oh.
Students brainstorm for ideas about how they want the car to look and operate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can make the tabs as thick as we want.
With the aid of computer software, they can see how their ideas will work in reality, right down to the smallest part.
And that seemed to be a lot of force to it. We have to work on the computer in virtual reality with these parts. We have to build them from the ground up, and we have to test them in the computer through simulations to make sure that, as far as we can tell, that it's going to be able to stand the forces that we're going to be acting on it.
And then we're going to repeat from this line.
Once the design is fine-tuned to their satisfaction, the parts are made from raw materials and carefully assembled.
We usually go from the outside in, so the outside being the frame, the wheels and such, the brakes, the systems, all the lines and everything, and the electrical, and then at the end it all comes together.
The entire process takes several months and teaches students not only about engineering matters, but also about working together toward a common goal.
This is not a project that can be handled with one or two persons. This is a huge project and needs collaboration, not only from the engineering students, but needs to have multidisciplinary.
That means students must consider more than just the parts and how they work together. There are also business concerns, like cost effectiveness and person-centered details, like comfort and ergonomics.
Come on, keep straight with it. Let's go. Right here. All right. Hold it.
And when the finishing touches are in place, it takes time to see if their hard work has paid off.
When we unload the car for the first time, it's like the moment of truth. Like, is it gonna run the way we want it to? Is it gonna go around the track as fast as we need it to?
It's nerve-wracking because you really want to see it work. You really want to hear that engine start. You really want to make sure that there's not one thing wrong with the car that everybody put so much time into making.
Right before the car started, I was thinking of every mechanical failure and everything that could probably possibly go wrong with the car for it not to start.
Watching the proof of their dedication and effort race around the track is an exhilarating experience for the students. Especially the ones who get to take the wheel.
Make sure you don't over-rev it.
Over-rev the clutch?
Yeah, so
okay.
Probably around when you get to like 4, that's when you start to over-revving and stuff. So try to get to 5.
Okay.
If you can.
When I stepped into the car for the first time, I was good to go.
Start her up, make sure she's at the right temperature.
I just wanted to open that throttle up on the straightaway and just really see what she had. When I got down that straightaway, it was a rush. Because I'm just seeing everything fly by me. I'm proud of my classmates for really becoming a group and really coming together as one and getting an objective done.
You still stayed within the cones except when you got down like halfway.
The project is an experience these students will draw on for their entire careers, and it gives them an immediate point of pride to work from when seeking employment after graduation.
Companies recognize when a student is in this program and understand that they have the hands-on experience and are able to use the theories and things that they learn in class and actually apply them to real life.
We're still students in college. Some of us, the younger of us, just got out of high school, and we can already say, oh, in my first year, I built a car.
But their participation in the program is more than just a career booster and a bragging right. It is part of the students' overall philosophy as Trojans.
Here at Virginia State, we like to focus on building a better world. And the Society of Automotive Engineers, in my opinion, is an opportunity for not only building a better world, but for building a better future for ourselves.
Through education, we find value. Innovation is born. Understanding is developed. Ignorance is removed. Unmasking by revelation, new knowledge that enlightens our thinking, expands our minds, catapulting us from apathy to action. Education increases our mental capacity. It crushes the thing that prevents us from becoming who we were born to be. Who we are in essence. Immeasurable beings. Intelligent beyond imagination. With worth and dignity. And through education, we also discover a force in our lives not always obvious. It's power. Omnipotent. The power I speak of is self-worth. And when a value is placed on accomplishment through education, a new person is born with both magnitude and significance, shedding the skin of ignorance with a ray of unlimited hope. Hi, I'm Hill Harper, asking you to support Virginia State University. building a better world since 1882.
Welcome back. Our next story takes a look at Virginia State University's partnership with Radio 1, where many successful VSU alumni have found promising broadcast careers as popular on-air personalities in Richmond, Virginia.
Hey, it's your midday guy, King Tutt for KISS FM. How would you like to have lunch with me?
Lunchtime, baby.
Better yet, how would you like for me to bring you lunch and bring the party straight to your job?
And then it's right back to work.
It's 99.3 and 105.7. It's live at lunch, and I could be at your job. Log on to KissRichmond.com and register. We'll bring the party and the food to you. It's live at lunch with your man, King Tutt, right here on KISS FM. I love y'all. God bless y'all. Peace.
Changes in the Richmond business over the past several years have made it an extremely competitive job market. That means stations are looking for the best and brightest.
That's right.
And on Richmond's airwaves,
99.3 and 105.7.
Hey, I'm about to go on the phone lines to call somebody and get them qualified.
That includes graduates from Virginia State University.
Yours truly, King Tutt, talking to you, and oh yes.
Radio 1 operates 53 stations in 15 urban markets across the nation.
99.3 and 105.7 KISS FM.
But right now, I'm going to slow it down for the lovers in the city.
In the Richmond-Petersburg area, that includes 4 stations covering everything from gospel to news to hip-hop and R&B. The company has a long-standing relationship with Virginia State University, inviting many students to come and learn more about the business.
Why don't we put that there?
We get fabulous interns from Virginia State, people who are really dedicated and focused, and I continue to hear from them even after they graduate, and we build relationships.
Those relationships can turn into a promising career at one of Richmond's top stations, where these enthusiastic Virginia State alumni are serving as popular on-air personalities.
Pull up when we come back.
You are now qualified to get on that party plane to paradise. Congratulations, baby.
That's what I'm talking about. You have got to be kidding me.
That is great news.
All right.
99.3, 105.7 KISS FM, Richmond's R&B around the clock. Welcome to the King.
Darren Tutt, also known as King Tutt, is a midday host at 99.3 and 105.7 KISS FM, whose show is ranked #1 with adults 25 to 54.
Not too many people can say that they're doing a job that they actually love and get paid for it at the same time.
That's LL Cool J right there.
B-Sound's Brandon White started on the street team and hosts weekend shows and remote marketing events for iPower 92.1.
I think that Radio 1 in Virginia State is like home. It's like family, one big family.
Virginia State University, make some noise!
It's all about love here inside the Quiet Storm. Mitch Malone on KISS.
And Mitch Malone hosts the #1 rated Quiet Storm on 99.3 and 105.7 KISS FM.
My spark actually started at Virginia State. They gave me the opportunity to start Jones Dining Hall Sounds, which was a pseudo radio station, I guess we'd like to call it, in the dining hall. That was my first crack at, I guess, doing a somewhat of a radio show.
Welcome to Rogers Stadium, VSU alums.
Love you, all of you. Tutt knew as a child which school would start his career path.
That is Avant Kiki Y. You and I right at 99.3 and 105.7 KISS FM, Richmond's R&B around the clock.
When he watched his mother graduate from Virginia State University.
I was a child, but I remember her walking across that stage, and I was like, yes, one day I will do that and make my mother proud.
Expo! Yeah. I'm ready to party, yo. They ready to party, bruh.
B-Sound says he loves the unity that comes from being a Virginia State graduate.
You can have somebody from the hood, from the suburbs, from the country, all come together as one. And just, we go to Virginia State University. We're family.
So if you have any questions, just let me know, shoot me an email, and we'll be good to go.
Okay. And that connection to their alma mater is maintained through work with Radio 1, which encourages employees to go out into the communities their voices reach.
Now, you have all the spots currently for VSU, right? Yep. We strongly encourage all of our DJs to be involved with the community. Radio 1 is very active with the community. So B-Sounds always goes out and is very active and involved with VSU and going to the games and homecoming.
Every time I get a chance to go back to my alma mater and represent it, I like to do it to the best of my ability, and I love it.
Happy Homecoming 2012. Trojan alums, come on by to KISS 10.
In reaching out to listeners on the campus, Radio 1 is also looking for interested students who want to learn about careers in the radio industry.
The talent and the school itself and what it's becoming and certainly how it's growing, there's no question. We want more and more people coming from Virginia State to work here.
With more than just a passing interest in the industry, students are coming to Radio 1 with a good foundation of knowledge that serves them well as interns.
WVST has done a tremendous job of opening that door and being there for students to actually have some hands-on experience at the radio business.
While many students are eager to get straight to the mic, their eyes are soon open to all the work behind the scenes that keeps the station on the air.
The biggest outdoor event of the year is...
They take you to the sales side.
2012, Saturday, June 2nd on Browns Island.
They take you how commercials cut.
This as we enjoy food from the area's best
production.
Plus, we'll have the hottest live performances from George Clinton and Parliament.
They take you promotions, marketing, you know, and I really think that that's why a whole lot of people transition themselves from Virginia State to Radio 1.
Share what you feel today.
Their love of learning, nurtured at Virginia State University, is one of the strengths of Radio 1's on-air personalities.
This is KISS FM.
They want to continue to learn. And I think that's a really important part of being a well-rounded on-air personality, is someone who has a love of learning and a love of growing. And I think their listeners can tell that.
Here is my Virginia State University Marching Trojans. We're your #1 station, 99.3 and 105.7 KISS FM.
Mitch Malone says that he's proud to work for a company that has a partnership with the school that made him who he is.
It lit the spark in my life that I guess springboarded my career. And so I thank everybody there, and I continue to thank the university community for their support and supporting me all these years I've been in radio.
Hey, I'm about to go on the phone lines and call somebody and get them qualified to get on that
Tutt says that everything about his experience at Virginia State University, from his major in information systems to the friendships he's made, contributes to a success on the air.
Peace. With what I learned at Virginia State and coming into radio and just putting it all together, I wanted to give that on the radio. I want people to feel like I'm their cousin, I'm their brother, I'm their son. Relate to me and enjoy radio like we used to back in the day.
Quiet storm coming up top of the hour.
For VSU Today, I'm Clovia Lawrence.
Right? Well, how would you like to have your lunch delivered by a king?
Hi, I'm Ed Gordon, here to tell you that a gift to Virginia State University helps build a better world for our students.
I'm here to become a computer systems analyst.
Help me achieve my goal.
I'm Dada.
I'm here to become a registered nurse.
Help me achieve my goal.
I'm here to become a manufacturing engineer.
A teacher.
I like it.
A chemist.
Help me achieve my goal.
Keep working. Virginia State University is helping students prepare for an ever-changing global society.
I'm here to be an accountant.
Help me achieve my goal.
Ayúdame a cumplir mis metas.
As an alumna, my contribution makes it possible for students to afford the education they desire.
Help me achieve my goal.
Your gift helps pay tuition and fees.
Buy my books.
Helps pay for my room and board.
Aidez-moi à accomplir mon rêve, achever mon but sur terre.
Since 1882, building a better world has been the philosophy of Virginia State University. Your gift will help continue that tradition.
Thanks for coming back. In historic downtown Petersburg, Virginia, people get to walk along the cobblestones of history to discover a literary giant. In this segment of VSU Today, we reveal an overlooked place in Edgar Allan Poe's fascinating life.
The area around Virginia State University is rich with history. It has been the setting for many well-known chapters in our nation's past. But amid the Revolutionary and Civil War markers, there's a lesser-known point of historical interest here. And for students of American writing, it's bringing literature lessons to life.
It was very likely the happiest time of his life. Yet despite the hundreds of books and articles written about the life of Edgar Allan Poe, few devote little more than a footnote to the honeymoon he enjoyed with his child bride, Virginia Clem, in Petersburg, Virginia.
Jeff Abigail has written hundreds of articles and a handful of books, but he never expected to write a book about Edgar Allan Poe. When he moved to Petersburg in 2005, he wasn't what you'd call a fan.
I personally was not that interested in his work until I started to explore the history of his relationship in Petersburg.
The relationship, it turns out, is highlighted by time Poe spent in the city, just after getting married in 1836.
He married his 13-year-old cousin, Virginia Clem, and the biographies all mention that fact, but they never go beyond it. On occasion, they mention that they went on a honeymoon to Petersburg, but they don't elaborate at all. Original stairs that Poe and Virginia would have walked up to.
So he began to wonder, in the city he now called home, was the site of Edgar Allan Poe's honeymoon still standing? He plunged into research of real estate records and other historical documents.
This is what we would consider a living room or a sitting room. Adjacent room would have been the dining area. I began to uncover who was here and where he stayed, and found out that it was in fact this building, number 12 West Bank Street, had a different number at the time. This is where Edgar and Virginia would have stayed on their wedding night. But it was 12 West Bank Street was the site of Hiram Haynes' Coffee House.
Hiram Haynes was the editor of the local newspaper at the time, a friend of Poe who was happy to host the newlyweds in the tavern he owned. This was all several years before Poe would pen his most famous works.
The 1,000 injuries of Fortunato I had borne as I best could, but when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. You, who so well know the nature of my soul, will not suppose, however, that I gave utterance to a threat. At length, I would be avenged. This was a point definitively settled, but the very definitiveness with which it was resolved precluded the idea of risk.
I think that's a classic example of his short horror stories that at the time were probably seemed a lot more horrific than they do now. So this roof was put on maybe 30 or 40 years ago.
The dark, brooding nature of his work makes it hard to imagine that Poe was ever a happy newlywed, but his words remain a cornerstone in American literature.
Once upon a midnight dreary, as I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, as I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis a visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more.
Professors love Edgar Allan Poe, and students love Edgar Allan Poe as well. He's one of those few authors that he's complicated and he's serious, but he's also absolutely popular with absolutely everybody.
It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me.
Because of his childhood, his upbringing, and different physiological factors, I think he always questioned reality, and always questioned the nature of existence.
At the most remote end of the crypt, there appeared another less spacious. Its walls had been lined with human remains piled to the vault overhead in the fashion of the great catacombs of Paris. 3 sides of this interior crypt were still ornamented in this manner. From the 4th, the bones had been thrown down and lay promiscuously upon the earth, forming at one point a mound of some size. Poe
actually influenced me more later on, when I began to read everything they had ever done, there's a very large psychological element to it, as well as the aspects of loss and tragedy and the big questions in terms of eternity and reality, the nature of reality.
Poe is using a style that allows you to feel a response. Exactly what you think isn't important, but that you respond somehow to the idea of horror or beauty or mystery or the sublime is what he's after, right, to catalyze a response.
But why would Poe choose Petersburg as a honeymoon destination?
He and his bride were in the city at a time of what I would call the ascendancy of Petersburg. They're beginning to develop their railroads and making improvements with the canals, the ports, and all of this is being geared to becoming a major tobacco-producing city.
I must not only punish, but punish with impunity.
For students, to learn this local connection to Poe makes their lessons more meaningful.
If you're a student at Virginia State and you have an instructor who begins to talk about Edgar Allan Poe, and that instructor can say, and 2 blocks from here, he walked up this street. Not every school can say that.
Petersburg is one of the most historic cities in the Southeast, but most of its publicized history relates to the Civil War, the Battle of the Crater, and the Siege of Petersburg. In decades before the war, however, the town was a rich center of trade, ideas, and entertainment.
As for Jeff Abigail, he has more than a book to show for his research on the matter.
This is a place that existed from 1829 to 1836. It was a coffee house through most of the 19th century, and now it's back where a person can come and pretty much do what Poe and his friends and Hiram Haynes did back in the 1830s, which is read books, have a cup of coffee, have beer or wine, and enjoy the environment where Poe actually sat and conversed with the people of Petersburg years ago.
But the raven, sitting lonely on that placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further then he uttered, not a feather then he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore.
Well, that does it for this edition of VSU Today. I'm your host, Daphne Maxwell Reid. For more information on Virginia State University, go to vsu.edu. See you next time.